Chris and Charlie, welcome to the Family Business Show.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
You guys together run your family business, Red Key Concepts. So Charlie, why don't you tell the audience what it is that you do?
Well, we are predominantly main contractors based in Kent, but covering the whole of the southeast and almost going into London as well. We specialise in the residential, commercial, hospitality and education sectors. We've got some fantastic projects on board, and we will look at anything from, say, 500,000 up to £10 million builds. So it's quite a nice plethora of projects and clients that we have on board, and incredibly lucky to have a phenomenal supply chain, a local supply chain as well. Brilliant.
And Chris, have you always run this together, or how did this come to fruition?
Started about 5 years ago, and we just thought, actually, we want to, still do something. We don't want to work for anybody else anymore. We kind of want to go on our own and give it a go. And we just sort of got together, and between us, I think we both got different skill sets, and I think that kind of works quite well. There's the odd occasion, obviously, where you clash, but I think ultimately you're always in it for the ultimate, for the same goal. We just decided to get together, and we thought, actually, who else you can trust more than someone, a member of your own family, with finances and everything else that goes with it, and all the grief that goes with it as well. And we sort of set it up very softly, and it grew from there, really. And now we're in a place that we never really dreamed that we would be in 4 or 5 years ago. But I think it's all about just getting to know people, that network, and bouncing off each other, different ideas. And I think at the end of the day, you both got each other's backs, and that's a good part about being a family business, I suppose. There are other bits which are more challenging, but ultimately I think that's what you've got to focus on, and keep head down and get on with it. So about 5 years now. It's good.
Fantastic. So in those 5 years, tell us about the journey and your growth, because it's been phenomenal.
Well, we started in my lounge, actually, with a piece of A4 paper, and we've both got very different backgrounds and different trainings, as Chris mentioned, different skill sets. And we just thought there's an opportunity out there for us to do something and make a slight change to the industry that we're in, and work in a more sort of a collaborative fashion, should we say, with our clients and supply chain. So we moved into our first office 6 months later, and have since taken on 12 staff in the office, in the head office, with about 22 on site, and this is our now 4th office move. We've also got some a nice little fleet of company trucks and vehicles, and obviously we've got some great clients on board as well now. A majority of them are repeat clients, so fingers crossed we're doing something right. So it's had its ups and its downs, but we've learned an awful lot, and we've got a fantastic support network out there as well now, which is great.
Amazing. So in those 4 short years, you've built your team to 12 people, your turnover to, £7 million. So do you think there's a couple of things that have been the real secrets to that success?
I think probably the key bit is your networking and attending those events, and that you've got to get out there. I mean, we've got a bit more of a unique, if that's the word, kind of selling point, because a lot of the traditional construction companies in this area in the southeast, they all started off family businesses 80 years ago, 50 years ago, whatever, but eventually over time those families have taken a step back, and now they're owned by people that haven't got that family, that they trade on being family companies, but they're not necessarily still the family company that they were. And I think what we wanted to do was still be a family company, and I think we're in it together. We haven't just got profit. That's not why we do this. It's nice to make profit, but in construction it's rare. We try and work with it, and I think that's part of really what we wanted to do. But I think it's the difficult part, I think, of the growth, is trying to have as much growth as you can, but keep it sustained so that you don't lose that personal touch with the people you've got. So I think one of the most important things we've learned is the network of friends that not only fellow business people, fellow people that run construction companies. We're all quite a close-knit group down here. There's no bad competition. You know, it's all very friendly. There's fortunately enough work for everybody at the moment. But I think it's learning from other people that have been in the business, been doing this a lot longer than we have. And there's been quite a few times we've phoned up, you know, different companies for their advice, you know, when there's a slightly tricky situation to be had. And it's about, I think, not being afraid to ask for advice and help from your peers when you need it, because at some point, everybody else that's out there doing what we do, whether it's construction, whether it's retail, whether it's whatever industry that they're in, everybody has to start from somewhere. And you can't learn, you know, you can go to university, you can do all of this stuff and learn from a book, but actually in reality, when you're trying to deal with people, you're trying to deal with vast amounts of money. A lot of it's private money, so the people have worked hard to save for that money, and you know, you're then bound by contracts, by programs. You're relying on so many other people, particularly in what we do, to try and get to that end goal. We have to manage that whole supply chain, and things go wrong because we have to rely on so many other people. And over the last couple of years, particularly in the beginning, you know, it was finding the right supply chain. It was finding the right people to deal with, that share the same ethos as we have, you know, and it hasn't been easy. And we've gone through a lot of people, particularly in the first 2 years. But I think, you know, we're at a more comfortable place now with a fairly loyal supply chain going forward. And, you know, you're only as good as the people you have on site, effectively. And that's kind of what we try to learn.
But I think also, when we, back to your previous question, when we set up what we were doing, we quite quickly ascertained where there was a slight gap in the market. And I think we very much sort of stuck to that sort of turnover area on where we fit in. And that's generally by having sort of an empathetic approach and a mutual respect to our competitors who have been doing this for far longer than we have, and learning from them and seeing where we fit as a market and what we're actually good at. And I think when you're setting up a company, to identify your end goal and where you are good, where you fit in well, and where you optimize profit and where you can offer the best service is probably pretty much one of the hardest things to figure out, because turnover is fantastic, but obviously, as we all know, risk comes with that. So we all like to have nice bonuses and shoes and holidays at the end of a tax year, but equally, there's that sort of sweet spot, isn't there, that we think, oh yes, it'd be great to do this project or great to do that project, but we have to really manage growth very, very very carefully. And thanks to our accountants and our legal team, they've been fantastic, because you know, we're both very enthusiastic, so it's great to sort of have somebody out there and you know, the supporting consultancies that we have to sort of rein us in a wee bit at times. So,
Isn't that what being an entrepreneur is all about? And that's why you are the guys, you know, sat there taking all the risks and putting everything into your business. But, you know, I can see from both of you that you both absolutely love it. And how does it compare to working for someone else? Are you glad you took the plunge?
Definitely, yeah. When we've both got very young families as well. And I think if you'd asked us that probably 3 years ago, we would be having an absolutely different conversation, because we really had no idea. But I think with certain market trends, with Brexit, with COVID-19, it just sort of cements what we've been doing, and it makes us feel a little bit more secure in how our business model runs, and actually how we've had to adapt our business model to facilitate the changes that are out there. And as we all know, construction is one of the first sectors to be hit. Thankfully to Mr. Johnson, we were really encouraged to get back into work. There was no force majeure issued on us. We decided that we would shut our sites for 3 weeks, more as an ethical reason, because we needed to police. And I think, having worked for somebody else, we might not have been able to make those decisions necessarily, but we're lucky that we do agree on, I would say, 99.9% of the way that the business is run and the changes that we can make. And we can be very proactive, can't we, and reactional.
I think there's I think once you've experienced, I mean, running your own business is a risk. It can go either way. You know, and we're fortunate enough to have enough secured work now for the next, well, probably until December 2021, even throughout these, you know, difficult times, because, you know, I don't know if people are pushing ahead with it, or which is good news for us, but we can never take it for granted. You know, we're now looking at beyond 2021 to see what we can do. So, you know, I don't know, you come in and you've got to take the good times while they're good, but then similarly when you have a bit of a blip, you've got to take that on the chin, but look forward, because you've got to, there's no point moping about it. You've got to pick your socks up and you've got to do something about it and be proactive to change that. And I think we're very fortunate that we're in the position we are, where we're able to make those decisions. And I think, you know, ultimately we're trying to build a sustainable business with a good, loyal client base. You know, we're very fortunate enough to have a sort of a key member of repeat clients, very high expectancies from them, obviously. And as long as we keep achieving those high levels and keep doing what we're doing, you know, hopefully we can keep that sustainability on. But saying that, we're trying to just expand out to the right clients as well. Obviously, over the last couple of years, we worked with some developers that have a different thing in mind, where it's purely profit, and there are many of them out there, unfortunately, that don't want to pay or have any intention of paying the contractors, and the contractors always seem like that. But we try and avoid those wherever we can, because actually at the end of the day, we're a relatively friendly company. We just want to get the job done. Everyone needs to make a little bit of money, and then move on to the next one. You know, we're not in it to make, you know, we're not going to win big on any one job doing what we do. But what we will do, hopefully, is have the longevity and have a number of projects that we, you know, everyone ticks over. Hopefully, you know, everyone will make a little bit of money, and then it can move on to the next one. Obviously, you always get a job that loses, but you've just got to take that. And, you know, I think one of the biggest challenges, going back to your original bit, is being cash flow, really. For us, particularly, you know, being a family business, you know, we haven't got, you know, a massive sugar daddy out there with very deep pockets that's going to give us £1 million to sit in the bank that we can use as a float. You know, we started off with zero, you know, and we, I think maybe at one point we had about 5 or 6 grand that we were playing with, and where we have to cover the VAT on a lot of materials as well at the very beginning, you know, we were only getting a certain amount of income, and on zero rated projects where, you know, we were ordering 50 grand's worth of bricks and we owed, you know, whatever it was, 10 grand's worth of VAT on top of that the client wouldn't pay us. We've got to cover that from somewhere. So it was, you know, you have to put in your own money, your savings, you've got to do that. And it was really tough, but you talk to people that have done it before, you talk to other family businesses, you talk to other peers in the construction industry, and once you get through that, it's, you know, I mean, it's never easy, but it's getting easier at the moment. Don't know what's going to happen.
And were there moments where you just thought, nah, I can't do this?
Yeah.
No, not as far as cash flow goes. I think when you know, we both run the business in very different areas. So I'll deal with all the finances and cash flow, and the client side, and Chris is more very sort of technical, logical on site. So it's having that understanding that we both communicate, I think, all the time. You know, we could work all day together and then, you know, subsequently then phone each other 5, 6, 7 or 8 times after a working day, because we then remember something else. Yeah. So I think it's having that constant communication where we just both get it, and we understand fully how it works. But I don't think I don't really think we had a choice. I think when you've got a taste for running your own business, someone trying to manage me, for example, I think they'd really have their work cut out after having sort of a taste of being able to run and prove and take the good with the bad. I think it's incredibly hard to change from being a family business and running your own business to then working for somebody. So really, you know, the amount of times I've probably said to everybody, you're special, we just got to make it work. Yeah. And thankfully, we're nearly 5 years later, and, you know, we're hoping that it's going well still. So
brilliant, absolutely amazing. So let's talk about leadership then, because a lot of people who, you know, come into a family business don't come in it because they want to be a leader. They come in it because they love the business and they have a passion for it. So how has that evolved and developed? I mean, obviously from your previous careers, you've learned about leadership and management, but how does it differ running your own thing?
I was lucky enough to have managed a team when I worked in the city. So I think it's all about having a mutual respect for each other, and to give people the tools without sounding incredibly cliched, and to giving them the support and what they need and the encouragement, and basically letting them get on with it. Because at the end of the day, they've secured that job on the skill set that they've got, on the knowledge that they've got, and the want to learn and develop. We also, being a small family business as we were, we've grown quite considerably. Our mindset was very much that we wanted people to grow organically within the business, so that they can see and see how we work and be a part of it. And don't get me wrong, for the rest of the team, they probably witness a lot more than they should with the family. We'll address each other slightly differently, should we say, at times when things get a wee bit heated, but then equally we are very sort of, as far as our leadership goes here and our mentoring goes here, we have an incredibly flat structure because of that, and everybody comes in, everybody is shared up dividends and bonuses. It goes to everybody gets treated the same here, and yeah, we carry out 6 monthly appraisals. I would say I probably focus more on that element with the head office, and Chris is very much on the site side of things and managing the project managers and the site managers on site. And I think together as a collaborative, it works really well. I mean, we haven't had anybody. We had, I think, 2 people leave, and they're all still here for some reason. I think it's the coffee and the wine that they probably get fed on a frequent basis, but we very much want everyone to enjoy working here. And I think with regards to the recent events that we've been through, leadership skills have had to have been very fine-tuned, because what Chris and I deem is a normal working day is not necessarily what everybody else is able to achieve with a small family at home, technical issues, partners working from home as well. So we've just given everybody the setup to work from home. Thankfully, everybody is back in the office now, and managed it by that. But we're very, very clear on how the company's growing, what we're doing, the different sectors we're expanding into. We're doing far more with education and healthcare, and at the minute, which was an area that we felt we'd like to sort of expand into, and the team are very much on board. So it's not a micromanaged leadership skill set, unfortunately. Here we give everybody the tools. If anybody needs anything, it's an open door policy, and for us it works very well. We get a lot back from it, so we get good. They can't hear me saying this, by the way, and don't let them know this.
Fantastic. Okay, so we've talked about where you've come from and how you've got to where you are now, and it doesn't sound like the coronavirus pandemic has had a massive impact in particular, but has it affected you at all?
It did in a couple of ways, actually. One, we were able to mobilise from home in terms of office staff pretty quickly and without too much interruption. Obviously, when the sites closed and the people we had on site, obviously with the social distancing rules, we did close down for 3 weeks. We then made a decision safely with our clients to turn back and come back to site, but with reduced numbers on site to maintain the social distancing. And I think because of that, the impact we've had cash flow wise, because then obviously the valuations dropped right down, and where we were invoicing a certain amount a month, that was probably down by well over half. Cash flow, yeah, so that had a bit of an issue, because obviously we still had rent to pay, we still had our staff to pay. We only furloughed one person for about 3 weeks. Yeah. We managed to keep everybody on because the inquiries were still coming in. On the plus side, where we were at home, and like to think that most of us were working from home, I think we had inquiries come in that were sort of unthought of before. So actually we picked up, I think, 3 large projects over lockdown, because we were able to react to them really quickly and get on with it. So although at the time the turnover was dropped considerably, the potential of the company going forward has increased probably by about £6 million over the next 12 months, because of what we were able to pick up that at the time pre-lockdown was sort of not really expected. So yes, it was tough for 3 or 4 months. We've now come out of that. Everyone's back on site as much as we can with social distancing and everything. Still not up to 100% capacity on site because we can't be. But it was an interesting 3 or 4 months actually, and it just gave us time to sit back and look at the business and think to ourselves, okay, we now need to diversify as much as possible throughout the sectors, because we don't know what's going to happen for us, whether the resi sector is going to drop, in which case, probably 65-70% of what we do is residential at the moment. We need to actively look for projects that are more commercial to balance that out. So if in 12 months' time, developers lose confidence, market falls away, we've got the educational sector, we've got the healthcare sector, and they're sectors that hopefully will still have the budgets, at some point, and we're just trying to diversify as much as we can. So I think it was interesting, but it gave us time to look at the business, take a deep breath, because it'd been full on for 4 years. Really just look at who we've got on, how we approach things, what we're going to do over the next 12 months, and actually get work in that we never really thought. So it was a really interesting period.
Yeah, I think everybody was in that. We took stock, and being a family-run business and a small business, we were able to make those decisions so that our business model, as I mentioned earlier, did reflect the market. We spent a lot of time with our clients who also had time to reflect on their portfolios, their funding, etc., and how we could work with them. So a lot of our clients, 3 especially, have come back and said, we need you to have started 3 weeks ago now. We're going full steams ahead. So for us, it's been really positive. And we also took the plunge and employed a surveying director. So we've taken on projects, and we've taken on a new member of staff at a senior level, all within COVID, all within lockdown, all within, whilst we were doing. So very much pushing and motivating and basically just we will get through this. It's, it's for us, we will. So
I think also it kind of reaffirmed that where we are in terms of personnel, who we've got, including all the site teams as well. There's 10 or 11 of us in the office. There's much more people that we employ out on site, whether that's as a subcontractor or our direct site managers and labourers and things. And I think that the period of lockdown, how understanding everybody was, the size that we were manageable. So like I said, only one person went on furlough throughout everybody that we do. The suppliers we were using, the subcontractors, everybody else on site. It just reaffirmed, it was reassuring, actually, this is the right size that we should be. We don't need to employ 150 people, and say, we do all of this people, because then obviously the impact would have been significantly more on not only just our business, but the local economy and the impacts of having to make all of those people, either furloughed or redundant. So I think it was tough, and it was, but we were in a lot better position than, fortunate enough to be in a lot better position than other industries who have been hit, and still continue to being hit, like, the catering and hospitality it's disastrous, and it looks like that's going to happen again. But for this one time, it seems that construction was, I don't know, almost encouraged to go back as one of the main industries, whereas usually we're hit first.
Completely.
So, but you have to always look at it, and every day we come in, and actually how fortunate we are to be in the position we are, and not have another industry where there's no way you could plan for this epidemic. There's just no way. It doesn't meet anyone's business plan that, like Whitbread and Premier are in at the moment. You could never guess that your hotel rates are going to go to 20%, and have the problems that those guys are, and other hotels are trying to do. It's really tough. So we're very fortunate, but so
it sounds like then the pandemic really helped you, put a magnifying glass on your business and realize the things that you were absolutely spot on about, finding your fit in the market, the sort of size you are, the people you work with, but it also allowed you to be quite agile in changing your strategy moving forward, so diversify.
Yes, certainly.
That's fantastic. So let's talk about the future then, because for you it sounds really, really exciting. So let's talk about your ambitions and your aspirations. Where do you want to be? What do you want to be known for?
Well, I think certainly we, as Chris mentioned, we're lucky enough to have some fantastic work, secured work, taking us into 2021. So we don't sort of take that for granted, any forms or means. In order to take on these wonderful projects, we have to ensure that the infrastructure is very much there and the training is very much there for the support staff, the accounts, basically the head office, so that our standards certainly don't drop. So we are both massive control freaks, unfortunately, for everybody else in our company. And whilst I say we don't micromanage, we do our best not to micromanage, we certainly are well aware that the buck stops with us. So our growth is very much guided by our accountants at the minute, insofar as we've made it very clear that we want to grow year on year, but in a very healthy, steady fashion. Yeah. And we've gone from nothing to predicted 10+ million this year turnover in 4.5 years. So you know, we slowly want to sort of continue that, but there's no way we want to sort of you know, say we want to be double the turnover or anything unrealistic like that. As I say, as I've mentioned before, we've got the risk element there, and in order to give the clients what they've bought into from day one, we have to stay at a certain level. Yeah. But the other projects going forward, and how we want to expand, and maybe the projects in the hospitality, carry on doing some more educational, some more commercial, that isn't really going to have a huge negative impact on how we run the company, because they're new avenues and new areas for us to explore. So we just like to offer a great portfolio, an amazing supply chain to our clients as well, but very much it's in staffing, it's in development, it's in training, and it's in well-being of all of our staff that we've got on site and not on site. So yeah, what we would like to be known as is you know, a decent contractor, and I'm hoping, you know, by the fact that we've got these referrals, a lot of referrals and a lot of repeat business, that, you know, proof is in the pudding, because we're only as good as the supply chain and the staff that we employ. Yeah. So we really have to focus on them, and it just takes one person to drop their guard. Yeah. And to let standards down, to have a ripple effect throughout the company. I'd like us to be seen as, I wouldn't say entrepreneurial, I don't think we're doing anything different out there, but we can offer some slightly different alternatives to people out there. One USP is obviously that we are a family-run business, and that has, as we've discussed, some great benefits, and also that we can make decisions very quickly and change the mold of what we offer clients. Yeah. to accommodate their requirements. Yeah.
Well, I think you have to enjoy what you're doing. If you don't enjoy what you're doing, and, you know, genuinely enjoy every day, you know, about how lucky we are, and we said it before, I don't want to go over it at all, but you know, how lucky we are to be in this position where we've got great people working with us, and a great supply chain, great contacts, great, you know, networking across the business. And actually, you've got to have a laugh in what you do, and it's stressful enough in any industry at all. If you don't enjoy it, and you can't have a good laugh about stuff every day, then there's, you know, go and find something else to do. So I think that it's very important to maintain that kind of fun element wherever you can, and enjoy what you do, because, you know.
But I think we said, didn't we, the minute we don't enjoy doing this is the minute we stop. Yeah. And I think that's really important. So we try and make it as enjoyable as we can.
I'd enjoy doing it more sitting on a sunbed in Barbados, don't get me wrong, but that's not going to happen. So
it's a goal. It's something to aim for.
Oh, so next year, that's our aim for next year.
Brilliant. So hopefully, if I do this in 12 months' time, you'll be sitting in Barbados, I'll be in the Maldives. Perfect.
Everyone's a winner.
Okay, all right. So before we wrap up, then, you know, our audience are other family businesses, just like you guys. You know, trying to figure out running a business together, family dynamics, relationships, managing a team. And there are a few nuggets of advice you could give to anyone else out there that might be about to embark on their journey like you were 4 years ago, or maybe has just taken over as the next generation and trying to, you know, put their own mark on the family business. We've got a few nuggets of wisdom between you.
I would say listening to whoever you're running the business with, taking it on board, because running a family business, you are able to get away with a lot more frankness, directness than you probably would any other joint member company. And just understanding and just supporting. And, you know, there are times where one of us will have a particularly bad day, and you can offload, and it's still very important to realise that you are siblings, or you are a relation, and I think that is foremost. So I would certainly say always ensure that you have that relationship and you maintain that relationship no matter what. Yeah. Because that will have a ripple effect on the business, and then have that mutual respect that running a business is not the same as growing up with a sibling, and you both have your own skills and your own talents, and it is also, you know, to consider the partners and the children and the bigger picture of the family, because they're really not interested when you get together on a Sunday to hear about the business. So I would say listen, have clear goals, both work towards those particular ambitions and goals, but also prepared to be a little bit more flexible when it comes to maybe taking on those risks and approaching different situations in a different manner. Because there's no way a family member would want to or should want to put you at any more risk by coming up with a different answer or a different solution for something. So yeah, I mean, I would say definitely listen, have a great support network, and just as Chris said, enjoy it. Try and enjoy it as much as possible. Yeah, absolutely.
So can I ask you to look at each other and actually tell each other what you admire about each other? Because you are so busy running the business, but you're both obviously very, very talented people. Your brother and sister, you're leading this team. But Chris, is there something in particular that you've learnt about your sister over the last 4 years that you really admire?
She probably needs to clean her teeth in the morning first before she comes to work. No.
Hey, you got your stilettos on under there, Charlie.
I thought you were asking me. No, that's on a Thursday.
Yeah, what I admire about Chris is how he wears a stiletto better than me.
Yeah, very good. Terrible for your
But you must have learned things about each other that you really do admire.
Yeah, I think it's like now we're getting into family counselling sessions. That's a whole different thing. I think you do, but I think you don't. That comes out in your day-to-day business and how you react to each other. And I think
you'll have him in tears in a minute. You realise.
But no, and I think you don't. There's certain things you don't have to say in a family business, because you kind of look at how the business is doing and kind of where you are. And actually, if you're both doing a good job, then you're both enjoying it. And I think if you're not doing a good job, then it's probably easier to say what people's faults are, but I think that's probably easier in everybody, rather than, sort of telling everybody how lovely they are and put an arm around each other and hug and kiss and stuff like that. We're not like that.
No, I mean, I admire your resilience. So, you've got great resilience. He's shown great resilience.
Yeah.
And I admire the fact he hasn't buried me under a patio somewhere. Yeah. That's good. But no, in seriousness, I think you've learned a lot. You have learned to listen. And I think you've adapted that, it's a team effort, very much a team effort. So yeah.
I feel like I opened a can of worms there, so I'll retract that question. Okay, so final question. Well, it's not even a question. A last shameless plug for Red Key Concepts, because everyone else out there is a family business. They want to see you thrive and survive, and they want to, our community want to help each other. So how can we help you? What are you on the lookout for? And and what can people do if they want to get in touch with you?
I think we're always looking to increase our supply chain, and we want to work with like-minded people. If there are any other like-minded people, I don't know if it's a good or bad thing. Client-wise as well, we want to work with clients who are appreciative of what we do, who are very clear and concise in what they do, what they want us to achieve. And be a part of a fun growing company within the Kent construction industry. We are very lucky to have already had some fantastic projects in a plethora of different areas, as I've mentioned before: hospitality, education, healthcare, resi and commercial, and we just want to keep building on that. And so what we're always looking for is, I'm always wanting to meet new suppliers, people that want to join us, material suppliers, plasterers, kitchen fitters, whoever, because there are a whole load of opportunities out there. And you know, we are incredibly transparent as a company, and that has its good and its bad points, but you certainly know where you sit, and you certainly know how you can grow with us as a company. So yes, we're looking to meet like-minded family run businesses, yeah, and non-family run businesses as soon as we're allowed to, properly, socially.
I think it's about people that, you know, want longevity out of it. You know, if you we've gone through a few subbies who are really big and they come in, it's all about profit, everything's an extra. Actually, with family or smaller companies, you know, I think everyone's with it, and we can give people a lot of work if everyone shares that same ethos. You know, everybody has to make profit. That's the way the world works, you know, and we're not the company to screw people down. People work with us, make a little bit of money, we'll get on to the next one. You know, we're never going to make a quick buck, but what we will do is hopefully still be here with that subcontractor or with that supplier in 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 years time, and we can give them longevity. And I'm hoping that's what clients will give to us in the service we give to them. And, you know, we'll pass that all through the supply chain. And I think that's the critical thing is, you know, look, we're all in it together. We've all got to make a little bit of money. And at the end of the day, if the client's happy, we're likely to get the next job. You know, if an architect's happy, they'll recommend us for another one. They're not going to do that if we take people with us that are out for a quick buck. We're not interested in meeting those people.
It just doesn't sit with our business model.
No, but you know, we're not out screwing one over, and we just want to, you know, if everyone makes money and, you know, throughout the whole supply chain, then we've done a really good job, and the client's happy. More importantly, we're likely to get more. And I think that's probably where we sit with you know, whatever anyone else is out there that wants to, crazy enough to come and give us a call or something like that. But, yeah, no, that's it. And just people just want to laugh. You know what I mean? You've got to laugh about it. And you go out, have a few, you know, go out and enjoy yourselves, and when you can, and enjoy yourself every day if you can.
Absolutely. And I think if we've learned nothing from this pandemic, is that one person's success is everyone's success. You know, no one is flying solo at the moment. We're all in it together. And I know it gets banded around a lot, but particularly in the family business community, we absolutely are, you know. So if you can give some work to another family business, if another family business can give some work to you, fantastic. We're all putting food on the table and paying people's mortgages, aren't we? So
we're keen to give as many people business as we possibly can. If they're within the construction sector, we'd love to hear from them. So we look forward to that.
Brilliant. Okay. Well, Chris, Charlie, you've been so inspiring, motivating. You know, I'm raring to go now. So thank you so much for being my guest on the Family Business Show.
Thank you for having us. It's been a pleasure.